The first day I ever saw him in Lake Placid, when I went up there to take lessons from him, and he walked in the skating rink, and he had on this most beautiful pinstripe suit, and he was the most natty dresser I had ever seen. And this was the great master, and I had been accepted as a pupil of his, and I was just on cloud 9. He always required that you be a lady, that you behave yourself. He even commented on your hairdo, your makeup. He designed our skating costumes, our skating clothes. He more or less set the pattern of our daily lives. We skated 6 days a week. We took Sunday off, and he would take us to the movies or do anything to get our mind off skating. We'd go to Little Alps, his wonderful place in Lake Placid, and have spaghetti suppers and tramp through the woods and just have great times. And he always wanted to make our time with him fun, and it was always fun. And we all grew to love Gus. He was a skating teacher, a mentor, a father figure, a friend. And if Gus had said to us, go and jump off that bridge, I think we would have all gone and lined up and jumped off. And when he told us that we could do something, we believed it. And he always knew, he was a supreme psychologist. He knew how to get the most out of a skater. He would set up timing on jumps. The greatest problem in skating is wanting to rush things. And if you rush the takeoff on a jump, you lose it. You'll see them, the free leg goes out and they're gone. And Dick will say, well, there was a glitch or something when he's commentating. But most of the time, they haven't waited to get that torque to go up into the air. So Gus would say, now we're going to do this jump, and we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. And if we would be missing it, we would be going 1, 2, 3, getting the toe in too soon. Well, he'd have you count it. Go down the ice, get ready to do this double flip or whatever. 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. That's our counting of that. The more precise you're in counting, the better the flip will go.
He had a definite method. There was something as you went into everything that you were thinking of. It was no hit or miss proposition. And that is why the Lussi pupils were very consistent. People wondered how the Lussi pupils were so consistent. Well, they were consistent because he gave us definite things. There were definite buttons to push when you were doing something. All his skaters were the fastest spinners. And he would talk about centrifugal force, and we were all little teenage kids. What does centrifugal force, you know? But then he would get us pulling the arms very slowly, and the free leg would be wrapping around very tightly. Close up your knees. He didn't want any space that was pulling away from this centrifugal force. And by the time you'd close in that spin, and it would be a blur. Gus moved free skating from the old-fashioned way of skating, you know, with all the, well, he really had them rewriting the rule book in his time, because when we were skating, the rule book said you cannot raise your arms above your waistline. Well, that was ridiculous. You couldn't possibly do these jumps and these beautiful ballet movements and things that he was having us do with your hands down by your waistline. So they had to start rewriting all these rules, and I'm sure it was Gus Lussi who created that. And he had marvelous choreography, and his music was always perfect. He would go to New York, to the German-American section of New York City, and he found this little record shop, and the man's name was Mr. Meikle. And Gus and Mr. Meikle would get together and listen to records by the hour, and this is how Gus would come forth with these beautiful recordings, European symphonies and little salon music, little Hungarian music with the zithers, you know, all these people would say, where does he find that music? How does he do this? And then he would choreograph these wonderful pieces for us, and he would come back to the skating rink and he would say, "I have your music." And he would take it out of the case and place it down on the record player very carefully, like it might be the Hope Diamond. And he said, "Now this, with this knowing glass, this is for you." It was wonderful. I can still see Gus when we were in Stockholm. We'd be out there in a snowstorm practicing school figures in Stockholm. And he was out there with this huge, it was like a witch's broom, you know, with all the twigs. He'd slowly be taking the snow off the ice so we could see our school figures. I remember things about Gus. You know, there he was, the greatest teacher in the world, brushing snow off the ice so we could see the school figures we were doing. And it was so cold. Oh, we would skate 15 minutes and then go in and thaw out for 20 minutes. So we were we were pioneers. But now, of course, it's all indoors. But he engendered a tremendous desire in us. And when he would say, just before you went out to free skate, "Go out and show them how good you are." Well, that's exactly what you did. And he had you so well prepared. There was never any hit or miss with Gus. Everything, every step, every nuance, every arm movement, everything was set. You knew exactly what you were doing. You had worked on it so long that it was just, you were so well prepared that you just knew you could do it. Other teachers did not have this precise way of teaching. And I found that out when I would take lessons from some other teacher later on in my career. And it was more or less hit or miss. Well, push a little harder, pull a little faster. These were all vague instructions. Gus had absolute things that you were to do. You know, pull in those arms at a certain time, press with the elbows, press with your knee, point the toe, close the thighs. You knew exactly what he wanted. Gus was a man of great ego, and he was very opinionated. He knew he was good. He thought he was the best, and I believe he was. And if the judges didn't reward his pupils accordingly, he would become irate. And he would tell them. He would tell them off. And they didn't like it. He created many episodes in the skating world, and so he created some enemies. He had those who loved him, and he had those who really didn't like him too well at all. And we didn't know that we were a part of a revolution that was going on in figure skating at that time. We were going from the old-fashioned into this new, beautiful free skating that we experience today. And we were the people who were bridging that gap from the days of Sonia Henney and then moving on to the wonderful skaters we have today who are so superb. I always thank him for making my life. He was such an important part of my development. And I just think that the way he loved us and the way we loved him and the things he taught us about becoming people, because you know you're a person a long time after you're a skating champion. And I just thank Gus for helping me become a person. And I think he did that.